welcome back to another very special episode of Is the Bus Still Running, a podcast for the UIS Observer by me, Christian Leon Vallejo. Today we have a very special guest, Jordan Mathews. Welcome, Jordan.
Hey, how's it going?
So I'm really excited to have Jordan here. He's a really good pal of mine. He's also our very first graduate student to come on the podcast. Um, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to invite Jordan to come along to talk about his experience as a graduate student, but also because I feel like he was one of the very first people that was like very welcoming and opening on campus when I got here. So yes, welcome Jordan again.
Thank you. Kind of nervy.
Yes. So how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. You know, it's the I don't know. We're close to the end, but it's still far enough to where it's too far in the future.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot to keep juggling.
Yes, I feel you. I feel you. Have you done any fun fall themed activities lately?
No, I have. I don't know if it's unpopular opinion. I think the world is split in half, but my Christmas decorations are up mostly.
Oh, period.
I'm the type of person who waits till the day after Halloween and then I put them up. It's my favorite season, so um, not too much fall things, but definitely winter things are. The shenanigans of winter are coming along. Um, and yeah, I don't know. Didn't go to like no pumpkin patch or. I did go to. I can't think about it. Think of the name, but some place over here is called like. I think it's literally called the Apple Barn. I could be
The
lying
apple
though,
bar.
but such good apple cider cinnamon donuts. And I did go over there and get me a dozen of those.
Okay.
I would say that's the most fall thing I have done, to be quite honest.
Okay, well, that still sounds good. I know I got some at the Pumpkin Creek Farms. I've never had apple
Nice.
cinnamon donuts. And then we went, and they were so good, so I had to get a 12 pack to go.
Yeah, see?
Yes, well, besides that, I know this is your sixth year at UIS, or is that?
Yes, fortunately, unfortunately. I say
And
that with hesitation, right?
yeah.
Yes, I did my 4 undergrads here, and I received my bachelor's in developmental psychology with 3 minors of interpersonal communication, women and gender studies, and music.
Okay.
And now I'm on year number 2 of my master's degree, which is in human development counseling in the concentration of clinical mental health.
Oh. And how is it going so far?
How is it going thus far? Well, a year ago from today, I was probably upset with myself because I didn't drop out when I wanted to. Um, so, my first year as a grad student, I was fortunate enough to receive a graduate assistantship that paid for my tuition in most of my college. So that was nice, and that played a big role on me not dropping out. But also, there's like certain deadlines like before you can drop out where there's no repercussions and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about it since day one, and it's just I had a rough beginning. Like my mom had passed away a month before like school started. I'm a first generation college student. So not only am I the first person to go to college and receive a bachelor's, but I'm now the first person to even attempt to get a master's degree
No.
in my family. So it was just like a lot to take on, like starting off
Yeah.
as my first year going into grad school, and I didn't think I could do it, and then I stayed in, And then around this time last year, I was like, wow, I should have dropped out. And it was just like, obviously the pain was still lingering, but I think more of it was just because um, I want to do a lot more of this mental health work within children and adolescents,
Yeah.
and probably on a more communal basis. Um, and I don't necessarily think that the UIS's program is essentially designed for exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
So there's point in times where I struggle to stay indulged in the criteria that needs to be met, as well as the materials that are like being given to me, like assignments and stuff. So like obviously when you're not interested in something, it's a lot harder to stay
Stay
engaged
focused.
and
Yeah.
stay focused, right? So it was definitely rough. And then now here we are, and I'm like, wow, um, I only have really a year and a half left.
Yeah.
Let's hurry up and get it done.
Yeah.
And like the little crazy part is, and this is what they don't tell you, this is what's in the fine prints, in the terms and conditions that nobody reads, is that it's a 61 credit hour program, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
It's fine until you find out that you have to take almost like a minimum of 2 classes a summer, which means you have no summer. So for 3 whole years straight, you have no summer. There's really not much time for you to do summer things. My summer things would be traveling.
Yeah.
I love traveling, and so it does kind of suck, because like the summer classes are at a very fast pace. Like the classes are definitely could be reworked to take in like take an entire semester.
Yeah.
But that's just not how it goes, and so it's not like, oh well, Jordan, you could take a trip, and if you miss one class, you're fine.
Yeah.
But it's like if you miss one class, you really missed a lot, and it's a lot of things that if you were to come back, you're immediately drowning. I think.
Oh wow.
You can ask many people in my cohort that even if you don't miss a class, the intensity of it, and like how fast you're like learning things and having to get things down,
Yeah.
like initially already makes you feel like your head is barely floating above water.
Oh.
So once you like don't like understand something, or a new tool is being looked at for diagnosing, and you like don't ask your questions, like you feel like first it's your mouth underwater, and then your nose,
Oh.
and like you just see yourself like slowly going
Drowning.
under.
Yeah.
So yeah, but overall, I have learned a lot about myself, and like things that I'm really passionate for. I knew that I wanted to do something with psychology and mental health when I was in AP Psych my junior year of high school. It was just really fascinating, and I think it's hilarious because it's so true, and I don't know how many people believe me or they think I'm just cracking a joke, but I promise that when I was in junior year of high school and I was taking AP Psych,
Yeah.
and I realized that I wanted to do like this field of work is because I used to question why to so many people's things. Like, what happened? What was your thought process that made you think that was a good idea?
Oh.
I'm a bit confused on how you thought that was going to turn out, because in no other way was it going to turn out in any good way. So I'm confused, like, what was working? What was going on? And so, literally, like, in that class, I was like, yeah, you're teaching me about things on why they're doing these things, why they're acting up.
Yeah.
So it was, like, super nice. And then I just followed that passion. And then here we are. And I've had a lot of people along the way, and so I would say currently, as I'm getting this degree, um, and I'm learning all these skills, and it's flowing into my personal life in a very positive way, for sure. I also have like really big impacts on me that has made me have a burning passion for higher education,
Yeah.
specifically in student affairs. Um, and like right off the bat, like Dr. Ford and J. Rose and Samaria, all three of them are the first three people of color that I had um, in an academic setting. And so that like already had a big impact and influence on me.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a single parent household, my mom. Um, and obviously, people can't see who I am, but I am biracial.
Yeah.
And so, my mom is white and my dad is black. And so, I didn't learn much about like my black identity. I didn't like, it was really like Dr. Ford really taught me, was the first person to like teach me how to take care of my hair.
Oh.
And again, like I'm already 18.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, for 18 years, not only me, but like my older brother and my little brother, also biracial, um, like none of us are like, quote unquote, properly taking care of our hair. Like we didn't even know about certain products or all these things.
Yeah.
And so that has a big impact. And then like, just with my interactions recently, like during grad school, with Marie Watson, like all of those four people unconditionally extends this brave space to allow all students, but I feel like most students are people of color that sit in their office, and I'm just gonna call it as it is. They trauma dump, and what people don't realize, and I didn't realize it until, again, I took a class um, for my grad program, and I started thinking about it more. Like, as a student, I don't walk into one of these offices and be like, hey, do you have the mental capacity for me to sit here and vent for 20 minutes on how crappy my life is right now?
Yeah.
We just come in and then we huff and puff and we spill it out anyways.
Yeah.
And people may not like think it doesn't do anything. And if that's the case, I highly recommend that people read The Body Keeps the Score. Read that book and then we can have a conversation. But like you can not take away, but you can feel people's pain and trauma as if it was your own weight, like as when people are discussing it. And all four of those folks that I've mentioned, like always just had the space and allowed me to do that without me even asking. And now looking back, like I have gone back and thanked them once I figured it out, and
Yeah.
I'm obviously more conscious about things. Like I'll make sure, like, hey, do you have time for me to sit in this chair and just vent? Like you don't even have to respond.
Just listen.
Yeah. And it feels nice, but like that especially attending a PWI or predominantly white institution, like it's so important to have those spaces. And so I do, and like I said, I have this new burning passion to provide that space, and however that space may look. I have also recognized like college for me, I'm grateful to say that college to me is a second home, where a lot of people use college as their first home. Like this was their getaway. This is their safe haven from the toxic household or just like a violent household, however their experience may be. And so if I could, like my dream job, not dream job, but like what I want to do after graduation is work in higher education, and student affairs and if I had to choose a route in student affairs, I would probably prefer residence life, just because I think like people live here, you know,
Yeah.
like you want to feel you want to feel loved, you want to feel heard, you want to be able to be vulnerable, you want to still able to have fun, and we can do all of that here on this campus and
Yes.
on any other campus. But it's hard to do that when somebody sometimes doesn't understand your culture. You know, like I feel like I could walk out and if I see somebody who looks like me or is part of the black community, um, I can ask them a couple of questions and everybody's gonna basically say the same answer. So like, I can look at someone and be like, if you were outside, what time do you have to be inside? And I'm sure many people, part of the black community, is gonna say when the street lights come on.
Yeah.
And or it would be like, I was never allowed to go outside. Like those are like two things, and like other people would not pick up on that. They would not understand
Yeah.
that type of culture and how that goes. And so I think I want to put in some work and some time in higher education first before I tackle on my dream role of being this community aid for children and adolescents and their families, preferably in a low income city. Yeah, I know that was a lot.
No, yeah, it was a lot, but it was good. I feel like I appreciate you for being so honest.
Of course. Always. Yeah, the grad program itself, obviously, when you go to a PWI, you take what you can get, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
You don't really have much say in things. But I think as a person of color, and there's really not that many people of color, like I said, it's a 3-year program, so out of all 3 cohorts, I would probably say across all 3, no more than like probably 15 people hold a colored identity.
Really?
Yeah. I say that pretty confident. Like just in my cohort alone, I'm the only black male. I'm the only black person, period, in my cohort.
Oh, wow.
And then we do have some women who identify with Hispanic or Latin, with their Latin roots. But that's about it. I think there's maybe like 5 of us in total that hold a colored identity, and that's just in my cohort alone. And so other cohorts are a little bit different, obviously.
Yeah.
And then obviously in this profession, there's really, it's growing to be a more female-dominant profession, given the stereotype of like women are to be more nurturing, more of a caregiver type role, and so that also naturally like puts in this cohort men at a lower rate. And so like in my cohort there are 4 men, and that's out of 20 of us.
Oh.
So you can do math there, and so it's already again another big difference.
Yeah.
And just on like what's being represented in the room and at these tables and what's being discussed. So yeah, I don't know. The grad program gives me as much as I can get, but I definitely proceed with caution. Like, how do you take a multicultural class, but it's also being taught by 2 white people?
Yeah.
You know, and then again, I think both faculty members are very woke. They obviously have this job for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, they practice and whatnot. But again, to read about it, to you can live as poor as you can, and you can immerse yourself in the community as much as possible. But until you somehow can rewind time and change your skin color, it's a different experience. And
Definitely.
so I'm not saying that what they said or is invalid. I'm just saying, like, I proceed with caution, and I think it's okay to be skeptic and to constantly, like, ask these questions. Um, and yeah.
Yes. That summer thing that you mentioned seems crazy though, because I know I took 2 summer classes during the summer, and that was already tough enough. So I can imagine grad level classes.
Yeah, and then they got like grad level classes, and once you hit grad school, you don't like get FAFSA. And so like if you think of like if you were an undergrad and you were getting like a MAP grant or Pell grant, like you don't get that when you
Oh,
get to grad school. And so I would I could easily say all of us are working, right? And I would even say, at least in my cohort, many of us not only have full time jobs,
yeah.
they're still full time students, and they have children.
Oh,
So like those people, I give them so much grace.
yeah.
I admire them so much because I work part time, um, and I'm a full time student. Um, and I don't raise children. I mean, I have a dog.
Yeah.
That's my baby. But obviously, children have a higher needs than pets sometimes.
Yeah.
I would say most of the time. um, so it's just like when you think about summer and you're a parent and you have all these things to do, I like, how is your child who is off of school, how is that impacting them?
Yeah.
Because you can't take them to Disneyland. You can't take a trip to Cali unless, again, unless you're okay with drowning. And it's like, even if you do, what does that do to your mental health? Like, if you stay up for 3 nights straight to make sure that all of your homework is done,
Yeah.
you know? Excuse me. So, it definitely plays a role, but like I said, like, in this profession, if you want to be a counselor or therapist, like this is really what you got to do
Yeah.
to get licensing, and there's really no way around it. So, what's a better time than now than later?
Yeah. Yes. Well, I also know that you're involved in the UAS cheerleading.
I am. That has been recent. I will keep it clean for people's sake. But yes, cheers, cheering. Um, Finally got it up and running. Literally a week ago. Literally a month ago. And so for the past month, these girls have been hitting it. They've been working super hard. We
Yes.
definitely still have a long way to go, but like given the time frame, um, they put it on this plate and they licked it clean.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm excited. First home game is tomorrow.
Oh.
Um, so yeah, first home game tomorrow, and so I'm kind of nervous. I haven't really. I usually do check in with my girls, but I have not checked in on them about the game.
Yeah.
And so I do see them tonight for practice, so I know that's already on my to-do list. I think it's a lot easier when you're in a room, with 17 other girls who are doing the same thing as you, and it's okay to mess up, it's okay to ask questions. It's a little different when you're on the court and there's hundreds of people now looking at you,
Yeah.
and you're being broadcasted.
Oh.
And so it does add another weight, and so I definitely would need. I just want to check in on them, but
Yeah.
it's been a time. It's been a journey and a process for sure. Um, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, and we're gonna excel in all the ways that we can. And I'm just super excited. Like, these girls are very passionate about cheer itself. To them, it's not just like a hobby or something. Like, to them, this is at least what they bring to the table, and their energy is very like I'm going to do this and I'm going to give it my all no matter what. And I think that is just like what fills my heart,
Yeah.
especially because we can put this on the record. I don't get paid like to do this, so essentially volunteering
Oh.
about 10 hours of practice a week, and then there's games now starting that I have to obviously be in attendance in,
Yeah.
and so um, and I told them that in the beginning, like, if you guys give me this energy, I'm only going to return it back,
Yeah.
but if y'all want to slack off, um, just know that, like, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to match you wherever you are,
Yes.
because, again, I'm doing this out of my personal interest, like cheer. I've done it my whole life until I went to college, but also, like, I don't have to be here. Like, I could be focusing on dedicating a lot more time to my schooling.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Um, as well as just like my mental health. Like, just last night I sacrificed some of my sleep
Oh.
to play some video games with some friends,
Yeah.
and it's because like we haven't played for like over a week.
Oh.
And it's just like we just been like super busy and whatnot, and like people are like, okay, video games for real, but it's like keep doing things that you want to do to allow your brain to decompress.
Yeah.
And mine just so happens to be video games with my friends, and so that's just how it is sometimes. And I know that's life. Things get busy, but obviously I'm in school for counseling, and I know what burnout looks like and some
Yeah.
symptoms of mine. And so obviously, like, when it's time for me to re-energize myself, I have to put myself first. But it's a lot harder to do that if I had a team of girls who are showing up late. Like, I don't like punishing. Like, I I like to see myself as a positive, like, easygoing person. But obviously, there has to be some type of structure, right? Otherwise,
Yeah. Of course.
people would just run all around and not listen. And so, um, yeah, that's just how life is sometimes. But they were doing a good job with like giving me 100%, and I would say it seems like I'm reciprocating the same energy
Yeah.
back to them. So yeah.
We'll say, from what I've heard, you've definitely been a good, like, a mentor to them. Because I know Kelly, I think she's one of your girls.
Yes, yes.
And she's also in Baile Monarcas, which is an org I'm in leadership position. And I know she was teaching a dance, salsa, a couple weeks ago. And she was definitely following the same structure of, well, if you give me this energy, I will reciprocate it. So I think you're doing a good job at teaching them that. And
Thank you. And yeah, I think also like the way I go about our practices are very. They don't know it, and so if they listen to this, they will know it now.
yeah.
um, but it's in like a very therapeutic way, in the sense of like some things that I do is things that you would do in group counseling. So when there is a disagreement, instead of yelling and going at each other's throats, like we have conversations. Like, oh, I thought this move was this. And it's like, okay, that you are now confronting, and how do we move in this space without it getting violent or discouraging, because obviously you still want their voice to be heard so
Yeah.
that they can continue to voice their thoughts, concerns, and comments. And so, like, every time that there's like this clash, I say, okay, so what do we want to do as a team? What do we collectively want to agree on, and then switch and or keep? And I think, and like we'll raise hands. And
Yeah.
I think that allows everybody for their voice to be heard. Obviously, yes, I'm coach, and I could really just say, well, we're gonna do it this way.
Yeah.
But that's just not how the world works all the time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in certain companies, I'm sure that is how it's going to work. Like, their bosses just be like, well, I don't care. This is how I want it. That's just not, I don't think that's good for the soul. And it's definitely not good for your team.
Yeah.
So, uh, I'm hoping, like, what I'm doing in there is allowing them to bring it into literally into their own personal lives, so that when they meet confrontation, they don't have to put up a defense mechanism. They can step back and be like, let's converse.
Yeah.
Let's communicate on why we have this and what does it look like for us right now and moving forward. So, yeah, like I said, they don't know that. But it seems to be working, and like, again, when people disagree, and that's what they do, um and so I'm hoping that it continues, and like I said, like, I hope I'm implementing a seed in a tool that they will unconsciously start doing when they are having those type of situations.
Yeah. Yes, well, that sounds really, really good. And I'm wishing you guys a successful game tomorrow.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. So moving on to our last topic. I know you've also been, like you said, you mentioned earlier, you're involved in a lot of like the student activities and all that kind of stuff. I know you're in SAC.
Yeah.
You were also like I think the graduates helper for student life.
Yes. Wow. Well, I guess. Do you want me to start from undergrad, or do you just want me to talk about my grad experience?
All of it.
So in undergrad, I did many things. Many things. Let's see. I think my freshman year, I did the women's and men's club volleyball, where I held a co-presidential position for a year. I'm still, not still currently, but like, I did club volleyball. Really, I mean, I still go there every once in a while to date.
Yeah.
But I'm not as involved as I used to be.
Oh.
That's for sure. So I did that. I have, I have also danced with Valley Monacas. So I've had that experience. I am wow, what else? Men of color, and I think that we have great conversations.
Yeah.
When we do that, that is ran through the Diversity Center. Like I said, I'm a first generation college student, and fortunately, UIS offers a program called Necessary Steps Mentoring Program. And so I'm part of that and that family, and that heavily impacts me as well. Let's see. I was an RA for 3 years. I was, I know, it just keeps going and going. I do dedicate a lot. Like, I've helped the Civic Engagement Center out on some things, but I definitely volunteer a decent amount. Wow. What else, Jordan? Let's see. I'm currently, right now, so we're talking about this year alone.
Yeah.
I am the Traditions Coordinator in the Student Activities Committee, or SAC. So that is something that I'm currently experiencing, as well as being a member of Chi Sigma Iota Honor Society, which is the Counseling Honor Society nationwide. So those are the two things, and then cheer coach. Those are the three things that I'm just doing. I'm really trying to step back a lot.
Yeah.
So I allow my time, again, to allow myself to have time to take care of myself mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And I would say it's getting better. Again, you have seen me work in... You were a first year student when I was a senior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so In senior year, I only had 12 credit hours, and all of those credit hours were like just for fun. So,
Oh,
like, I stayed an extra year because of my close friend who convinced me, and I didn't need to.
yeah.
And that's when I picked up my third minor in communication.
Oh,
And so I had to take some classes,
yeah.
but like the rest, I was just taking like intro to piano, intro to guitar.
Oh,
I did choir,
yeah.
um, and that like I before I did all those things, that was before I was already a music minor, or after I was already a music
Oh,
minor. Like I didn't need to take those.
yeah.
So my senior year, I had a lot of time, where I had a great experience to working with you. I was a horrible person, but I had a good experience to see how amazing you are, working with RFS, um, as well as with our advisors. I would say having the experience of being the GA, my first year of grad school for the student life, the permanent student life, Kayla and Dan as our advisors, um, I, literally, I praise them because again, my time in other orgs,
Yeah.
um, I'm like, I don't even know who my advisor be looking like, you know?
Yeah.
Um, what else? I'm currently also part of Inquiry, which is a scholarship peer mentoring um, group where we do workshops across campus that people request at their own preference, and we help fight and advocate for all LGBTQIA plus community members and
Oh,
topics, and I'm pretty knowledgeable about different states and what's going on about that, and I've
yeah.
been doing that for quite some time, for sure. So that's my little shameless plug. I'll reach out to the GSSS office and see how you guys can. There is a scholarship if you join. So if you're looking for, a little couple bucks extra per semester, I highly recommend. It's not too extensive. And then again, I think a big rule of being an advocate is just staying up to date, and that is something that we do and continue to do. So I was and have been a part of a lot of things on this
Yeah.
campus, um, but it all works out, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes. Well, Jordan, it's been a pleasure having a conversation with you. As we move into our last topic, which is a MadLib.
MadLib.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Let me pull it up real quick.
I haven't done it.
Okay, so we're ready for this MadLib.
Yikes. This is gonna make no sense.
So you chose a Magic Anyone. So let's dive in.
Excuse me.
Wizards of all ages enjoy watching spooky magicians perform their wet tricks. Every man, woman, and hat love to see a magician pull a lotion out of a hat, saw a live iPhone in half, or make a huge hair disappear into curly air. Audiences love when magicians perform slay of thigh with a deck of mics, a sleepy coin, or a silk dog. The greatest of all magicians was the brilliant Harry Houdini, who was able to escape from a locked office even though his teeth were tied behind his mouth and his feet were wrapped in iron quarters.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh man, not the wet magic tricks.
Yes, you know you like them wet. You can
Yes.
splash around a little bit. Well, that was a very fun Mad Lib. I want to thank you again, Jordan, for coming on today's podcast and having a little conversation with me. I really appreciate your honesty in a lot of the topics.
Of course, no, thank you. This was fun. This was fun. Little cute setup. Hey, podcast.
Yes.
Living my Debbie Ryan life right now. Yeah,
We
Radio
Ryan.
Rebel.
Yes.
Yes.
feel like Trisha Paytas.
Yes. Oh no.
Yes, well, thank you, Jordan, and thank everyone for listening to this episode. Catch you in the next episode of Is the Bus Still Running? Bye.